Alright, so, hello everyone and welcome back to Factorio. Let's click resume, and when we last left off, I can't remember what exactly we're doing, but one of the many things we were doing was we were getting Fulgora all set up. I believe we had built a new transport platform relatively recently, but I don't see any there, so maybe that was earlier and I'm just forgetting that we got it all set up. But we were here on Fulgora, and we were setting up this whole scrap processing system, which needs a lot of work in order to get done. So, first of all, let's get some scrap into this. So what we need to do is let's just grab from this scrap pile here, just leave that one to feed the old factory probably. So we're going to get to here and we are going to just copy paste. Actually, we can copy-paste one of these ones since they're inputs, right? So we can just yoink you and all the way out to there, just get all the relevant spots of it. Okay, so then this goes in somewhere on this island, and we want it to be like relatively not using foundations because those are expensive still. So let's run up there and see what it's going to take to get all that built. It's still going to be some foundations, of course, but just a relatively small amount. And we also need to get the lightning collectors in here to get that whole thing covered. Okay, so now that's all covered. Now what we need to do is bring drone ports up here and power poles as well. So we get those up, and then we just have to let them get built, which there's the drone port, and there's our legendary power pole. So now we just connect up. Actually, that drone port does seem to get the entire island, so that, at least in construction range, so that should be fine. So now we just chain down some power poles and get that area lightning covered. There we go, and we might as well power up that lightning collector as well while we're at it. So now this whole thing is set up, and we just want, I guess we do want another drone port up here for that guy. And then the power here is saying that it's not connected up. How come? Okay, no, it is good. There must have been like one random thing in there that hadn't gotten built yet. So this is all powered and everything, and we have the drone ports in to get everything covered as well. Okay, so because this is connected up to the main grid, we have some power to use on this. But let's see, down here we just spammed down a bunch of those, right? We didn't do efficiency module stuff. I think we are going to want to do efficiency module stuff. So let's get those set up, and I think the easiest way to just be go over to novice, where we have that sort of setup pretty commonly. So if we just copy some of that blob in there and then pop it down wherever there's scrap. And then there's probably even more just down in this area, so that's going to be a whole lot of work, but for now, this will be a start. We've got plenty of that stuff, and we also have that gigantic ruin that we're deconstructing. And I don't know what they're doing with all that. It seems like they're bringing it over here to... Do I even have good storage chests? No, I don't think we do. Let's get... Hopefully we have some. Alright, it doesn't say they're missing. Yeah, so we have storage chests, so that's fine. We just don't have enough construction drones to do all this yet. And hopefully we don't lose some more in the process. And also it seems like we have somehow managed to disconnect the power grid again. So let's get that connected across. And there's just a whole ton of dismantling to do before any of this stuff actually gets built, which is pretty annoying. But it'll get there eventually. Also, we seem to have written over that drone port that I placed in, so let's get another one up there. That will add to the list of things that need a construction drone, and we're also going to need to get that area over there covered by a lightning collector, which it is now, so that's all good. Okay, so this is getting there. We are a couple mining drills short, and also our drones are starting to take damage, and we don't apparently have repair packs here. So, let's see here. Fulgora support, what are you doing? Do you bring big mining drills? No, you don't, so let's get those added on. So you can bring big mining drills and repair packs. And then we go to Fulgora, and we're going to have to request those. So you can request big mining drills, and you can request repair packs. So now those should eventually get delivered over, and we should be all good. Okay, so this is all getting built, and we still have a whole massive drone recharging issue going on here. But it's mostly everything that's been built is in now, so it's just the mining drills that we're waiting on. So let's finish this off by connecting up that block of mining drills, and then this block of mining drills is all connected, but we need power poles out this way. And there we go. So then you need a power pole, and it looks like you need a power pole. Okay. So it's all getting built up now. And this is going to be a bit cramped and hard to work out, but we should be able to get this connected up now. So we just need you to connect up like that. Then we need these belts to come out this way. And out this way. And then you two merge up. And then this belt sort of runs along here. And there's this island scrap is really weirdly shaped. I don't know what's up with that, but we'll just mostly ignore it. So that connects up to there, and then these two connect up to here, and they don't do the annoying backwards thing. So then you come into there as well, and you get split up So that should be everything all set up. Once the remaining big mining drills show up, it should be fully operational, and even as is, it's pretty solid. So then we are going to want stack inserters here so that that can all be super fast. So those all go in, and they get upgraded. Okay, so that is that. Now, we need to get that in and probably replace the lightning collector so that these boxes over here don't get zapped. And there we go. Alright, so that is this island all set up, right? So we just need this to be labeled as scrap source. There we go. And obviously we're probably going to want to upgrade these belts to be super fast. So probably just back to there should be enough. Just like this main line in, and then we might even push it to be like 4 belts. And actually, wait, if I remember, over here we have 4 individual belts coming out. Yeah, so we do actually want this to be a bit more efficient in terms of its ability to output stuff. So you can go up there, and these 2 can also come over this way and go into there. And I don't know how capable this is going to be of filling 4 entire belts, but we'll have to just figure that out once it's all obvious. So we now have 3 belts going in, and we just sort of need to grab a 4th, which I guess can be this one. And it's gonna need to be a bit clever and not go backwards. Why does it keep doing that? So that goes up, and then it crosses over, and then it just goes into that. Alright, no idea if this is going to be even remotely evenly distributed, but it exists now. And let's get a random power pole just so that lightning collector is connected to everything. And we want a power pole to get that beacon attached up. Okay. So, it is entirely possible that all of these big mining drills are going to be very power intensive. Like, the whole thing is like 100 megawatts. Each of these is like 2.5 megawatts. So we might need to do some work on improving the power grid. But before we do that, let's just get this set up. So we have rails coming out of here, and then this sort of loops around. Hang on, I have to get a rail support. So this, we want it to be sort of horizontal like that. No, don't do whatever that is. That would be a very silly thing to do. Just dismantle everything that you just did there. So that all goes away. And some of that stuff even got built. Okay, we need you to connect back to there. So now we have this, and the top row is the input and the bottom row is the output, right? So we need to get some signals on here so that we can know that it's going the right way. So let's just get some of those in. And let's also have the Spidertron run up to this corner to get that all built. And then meanwhile, the rest of this stuff is going to get built by the drone network. Okay, so now we have this one. So this belt goes down. So we need this belt to attach into that one, and no, actually we just need to make a T-junction probably. Yeah, let's just make us a T-junction. So if we run over here, no, those T-junctions were terrible. We don't want to copy those. We're going to want to make a new T-junction for this. So we get, this is going down. So let's get rail support in there, rail support in there. And then we connect you up so that you go to there and across to there. And then you go to there and across up to there. Okay. So then if we bring this in up here and then attach that, and then bring this in down here and then attach to that, then we get chain signal going into that. We get a chain signal going into that. And we get a block signal going out there and a block signal going out there. Then this gets a chain signal going in. It's not cooperating on any of this. So this gets a chain signal going in. It's not even showing which direction this is pointing, which is a bit annoying. So let's get the Spidertron out there to get this stuff built up so that hopefully actually physically having all of these things built will help. So we get a chain signal going in and a block signal coming out. I believe that is that. So now we just need to scurry around and get all that stuff built up and probably put like another set or two of block signals in there just to be sure. And that one is probably getting built from somewhere else. So now we have got this. And if we pull up the signaling, that all looks correct and normal. So now this stop should be accessible. So now we go down to here, and you get to be set to scrap destination. And then we're going to want to add a new train onto all of this. So we just go up here and we go train and 1, 2, 3, 4 cars. And I don't know if the Spidertron will do that or if it'll just get done anyways. So then this is going to get assigned to the scrap group. So we'll stay at the scrap source until it's filled up. And we'll go to a scrap destination until it's empty. And that'll be that. Alright. Sure, sounds good. Alright, so you are now full. And the stop is immediately filled up as well. That's pretty fast. So we might need... We're probably going to need multiple trains to keep up with all this. But for now, let's just see this working. So the train goes all the way around here, pulls down to here, and unloads. And it unloads to 4 half belts, actually. which isn't necessarily quite right. And then that goes... Wait, I might be dumb. Okay. Yes, I am incredibly dumb. I don't know how I managed to design this poorly. Obviously, that's not how that works. What was I thinking on Wednesday? Okay, so we need to disconnect that, and we need this to wrap around, and we need to just belt that back in to here so that all this scrap isn't wasted. It's not like a huge amount, but it's going to be necessary. So we need to gain access to the actual outsides of the recyclers. Also, did I see that power is broken again? Yeah, power is definitely broken again. And it's the dang rocket silo, probably. Alright, so this is all disconnected, and we can just... We need these belts to be long enough to just absorb all of the scrap so that eventually we can just loop this all back in and it'll be fine. But we just don't want scrap in these portions of the belts right now because we need to clear that out and redesign them. So that belt needs to not exist. That belt needs to not exist. As does this one. Okay, so all of those incorrect belts are gone. We're going to need to dismantle the recyclers themselves, which means getting these guys built up better. And apparently that area isn't stormproof, so let's just get a lightning collector out there so that that's not an issue. Okay, so just a little bit more before all of this area now doesn't have any scrap in it. Okay, so now we can dismantle all of those recyclers. And we are going to need to rebuild them in a less dumb way. So we get, I think it was like rows of 6, right? So we had something like this, and that was fine. But then what we need is we need belts feeding into them like this. And then they feed into an output belt like that. Okay, so we've got this. We can copy and paste, and so this is probably going to stress the input belts to its maximum, so we need this to just be like that. And then we're going to want the speed modules in here because that's what we had. And so these all get to have speed modules to be extra super fast. And then we are going to cut this out, flip it around, and place it in here. And let's see, so we want this to be aligned so that the outputs go in where they need to be. So we start with that so that that output is good. Then this one needs to go to there. This one needs to go to there. And this one needs to go to there. And then, oh wait, we need to be a little bit more careful because we don't want the input belts to accidentally have access to the output belts. So we just need you to wrap up a bit and then go in instead of going in directly. And then that one works fine, and then that one obviously doesn't have an issue. Okay, so then we just need to get a little bit more substations in to cover those ones which got pushed out a little extra bit. And then we need to deal with the input. So let's chop this belt back a little bit. And each of these belts needs to get split into 2. So let's just do it like this. And then, yeah, so let's just copy paste that, get that into all of these setups. Although now we're going to have a couple extra substations. Okay, so that goes in, and annoyingly, that's right where the railway is, so this one's going to have to be a little bit different. So we just have to have you go a bit further down before you do the splitting. Okay, so now that that's all set up, we just need to feed these guys in. So you go over to there, and we cut that one back. That one goes in there. This one comes all the way up to there. And then this one goes into that. Okay. So, now we're all good. This last row didn't even get built properly in the first place. So let's rotate those around and change them to stack inserters like the others. And then we want these belts to just feed back in, and this doesn't need to be a whole complicated multi-lane thing. So these can all just merge into one giant belt, and then this can go back and just in somewhere relevant. Okay. So that should deal with all the scrap. And is it being sorted properly? It looks like it. It's sort of all a jumble, but it looks like every row just has one type of item on it. So that should be all clear. And then we're just going to have to be waiting for the deliveries to happen, obviously. So that is the scrap getting out of the way. And it's going to be cycling back in real quick. Okay, so now we're draining this excess scrap out of there and just into the recyclers. And now we have fresh scrap showing up. Which, honestly, I kind of wish I'd given it a little bit more time to clear this junk out, but it'll be okay. It'll get there eventually. It's just like half of this one row which is having problems. Okay, so currently it seems like we are pretty satisfactorily dealing with all of this scrap. Like, this is definitely capable of handling some pretty high throughputs, although the gear wheel line might be close to saturated. It's tough to say for certain. And yes, okay, the gear wheel line is definitely fully saturated, which is not at all surprising. I wonder if there is some way of making that not so much of a limiting factor. Okay, so now it's not an issue anymore now that the scrap supply is down. Apparently we are missing some items on Fulgora, but Fulgora support is supposedly delivering all sorts of stuff. So that should get cleared up soon. It looks like we even got all of these machines in, and we just need another power pole for that scrap miner, and we also need to connect this up, which we will just do like that, and then worry about the details later. So we're missing that bulk inserter, apparently, and productivity modules for one of these scrap miners, which is totally fine. Okay, so the last bit of excess scrap is now dealt with, and now we're just dealing with the output as it was intended to be. So we can dismantle this sort of temporary belt here, get all that stuff out the way, and all of that stuff should be good. Okay, so now we need to fix the fact that this only does half of what it needs to. So here we have a full train of scrap coming in, and these are 4 half-filled belts, which is not ideal. So let's see here. I don't know how much the Spidertron will be able to help with this, but let's get the Spidertron down here to help design this. So what we need to do is we need to get more rows out of this stuff. So that is going to need to go away, and we're going to need to replace it with something over there, out of the way. Okay, so what we need is also get rid of that power pole, and let's see, I think we can try doing something like that. I don't know, we might need to get substations in here for this. So this is like the full output capacity of this. Now, I guess we could actually just use the other half. We could just use the other side, and that might be easier. Yeah, let's do that. That seems like it might just wind up being more elegant. So if we just copy-paste this whole block, rotate it horizontally, and place it in there. We've killed the power grid. So let's... How is this connection supposed to work? Oh, is it connected through this one power line? Yeah, that is going to be necessary to get built before any of this works. Alright, so once that exists, though, this should be all cleared, and let's get some of these. There are so many just random power lines in here which we can get rid of. And are we out of belts? We are apparently out of belts. And apparently storm coverage isn't great there. So Fulgora support is here. And it should be delivering all sorts of items, right? Including belts and productivity modules and baby steel chests. Wait, no, we have steel chests. Are we not in drone range? We must not be in drone range down. Oh, right, we dismantled a drone port, didn't we? Forgot that that was a thing that happened. Alright, so drone port goes there and gets connected up. Alright, then we need a power pole there to cover that, and a power pole there to cover that, which means we don't need those ones anymore. We probably don't need that one either. Okay, we do actually need one here to get that radar and the train stop and everything connected up. Okay, so this is now... We were just waiting on that steel chest for whatever reason. Okay, so we just need to take these belts and shove them into these belts. So let's take this, loop you over this way, and then we're going to have to worry about which belt is on which side in a minute. But it's going to be something like that, and okay, now I want this to be dismantled so that I can see which side this outputs onto, although maybe I can just get it to work without it being a problem. So yeah, so we need to like do that, no, not underground belts. All of this stuff can go out. That goes up there. That goes up there, and this one goes up here. So now we have all of these items on the belts. And that stretches all the way across, as usual. Okay, so now this supply is in, and we get to see it's sort of on the outer sides of the belts here. So that's kind of annoying for these ones because they're both on the inside basically. So what we need to do is just, if we just swap these around, so if we just do that and then have you go underground for a bit so that we can do the same thing with you. So now that should be on the other side of the belt, which means that we can just pop you into there and then open some space up there so that you go into that side, and then the other two are already set up to work, so you go in to here. Hang on, wait, the spacing of this, yeah, so I think we need more spacing basically, so that goes all the way out, probably just as far as it'll go. So then this inputs into here, and then that goes underground so that this one can go through to its target. And then after that, this one goes underground so that this one can also go forwards. So then this goes into that belt, and that should be all connected up to give us a full 4 belts. And we're just waiting on some of this stuff to get built. And if the Spidertron stands right here, does the Spidertron have belts? It has 1 belt, okay. So let's get those all connected up. So now this can do its thing. And these cargo wagons are like barely able to output anything, really. So, but yeah, I mean that, it's just so fast. Like it just drains instantly all the time. With, I guess with 6 stack inserters, that'll do it, but it means we're going to need a lot of cargo wagons to keep up with this if we want this to be running at max capacity, like, all the time. Alright, so that filters all the way through, and are these guys being output limited? Yes. They're being limited by the gear wheels, as pretty much just as expected. So let's see if we can just upgrade this gear wheel belt here. And it's... Why did it have to be, like, the longest one in the entire system? Okay, so the gear wheel belt gets upgraded. And for some reason, Fulgora isn't requesting productivity modules. Let's change that. Just noticed that Fulgora support stopped by but didn't drop them off. So let's get that request in for next time. And now all of the gear wheel belts need to be upgraded. And hopefully we won't need to upgrade the other belts, although who knows. And we might need to even do some work to like further compact the gear wheels to make sure that they are 100% stacked instead of being like this. Hopefully not though, because that is going to get complicated and also very ugly because this was not designed for that sort of system. So all we would need to do, I'm just trying to think of, you know, if I wanted to do that. I just don't really have the space for it in this setup, but all we would need to do is just feed the gear wheels into a box and then stack insert them out of the box. And that would theoretically do the trick as long as we had enough stack inserters for it. Okay, so did this whole thing get built? Oh, and that needs a power pole so that we can take our solid fuel. That's important. Okay, so pretty soon too, the storage here is going to start filling. Like the gear wheels, obviously, already pretty close to that. Also, the power grid sucks. That's another thing which keeps happening. And it's mostly just the accumulators going crazy, but then these other stuff are all the recyclers and the EM plants are doing a whole lot of work. Okay, so we need a power setup. So let's just simply go into my blueprints, grab... Did I ever blueprint the version of this that I used for... Yes, that I used for Vulcanus and Gleba. So we just pop down a fusion generator, and let's just stick it on this island. Why not? It's as good a spot as any, right? So you go in here, and you're connected up to power and everything. So that goes in, and then we're going to need some lightning collectors around it just to keep it from exploding. And then we're going to need to request fusion generator parts. So you are going to request these, and how many was this, like 2? Yeah, 2 of those and 30 of these. There we go. So those requests are in, and I believe... Yeah, so Aquila Quantum Support carries those parts and will eventually visit Fulgora. And do you also carry the fusion fuel? How do we even... Yes, so you also carry fusion power cells, which you are going to need to request. And are those going to be under this section? So you request 50 of those. And, oh, you're going to need some hot fluoroketone as well. There we go. So that is all set up. And that's everything, right? So we have hot fluoroketone that goes in there. We have fusion power cells that go in there. And then that's it, I think. So that should give us our fusion power. And we might want to set this up to only run like when the accumulators are below 50% or something, just to get the most bang for your buck out of it. But it should be fine. Fusion power lasts a long time when it works. But yeah, we definitely need more power production here. I guess we could also like do some stuff to upgrade the steam turbines, but that seems like a lot of work. Okay, so this is going out. It looks like the gear wheels got upgraded fully. Not seeing these guys being limited by anything other than just the belt throughput and the total number of them available. And they are also about to fill up, which means that our next step is going to be to start adding in systems for dealing with all that stuff. So, what we need to do is we need to find an island like this, like any of these islands which don't really have anything interesting on them, and just set them up to deal with all these various objects. So, let's see here. We're going to need a output, and we're going to need an input item for this, and probably an output as well. So, what I'm thinking is, we have these systems which do recycling to prevent each individual item from becoming a limiting factor, right? So this takes gear wheels, recycles, it just takes the gear wheels off of a train, sends them across a belt onto another train, but then there's a recycling setup in between, so that if we don't need the gear wheels and they would otherwise be backlogging us, then we can just destroy them. So that's going to be the plan. So let's get Spidertron out here to help build that. And it's probably gear wheels are going to be the first one, although maybe, I don't know, maybe concrete? No, concrete's nowhere near, whereas gear wheels are almost complete. And the holmium is not gonna overfill for quite some time. Alright, so step one, just get like a lightning collector or two around here just so that we don't explode. I'm trying to build this. Okay, so that's like most of this covered, right? Now we just get one of these guys. So we are going to copy you. Not that one, because it's got all the weird radar stuff next to it. Let's copy just like this one as a relatively typical setup. So this we're going to place sort of over this way. And then we're going to place another one. Blueprint with rail chain signal cannot be flipped. Alright, good to know. So, we have this guy over here then, and is this going to be enough space in between these two? Probably. We can move it out here if we don't mind using foundations and giving us more space. Yeah, let's do that. That's what the foundations are for, ultimately. Aquilo Quantum Support doesn't have enough platform hub storage space. Yikes. Okay, let's see if we can... This belt doesn't do anything, right? So you can just expand this out a bunch in a sort of cursed way like that. So hopefully that will give us more storage space. A lot of those won't get built until you stop by back to Novice, but that's fine. We got the one extra in, and that's the important part. Okay. We're showing 110 items. Oh, that's mostly this stuff, probably. Yeah, so that's fine. So, this item here is going to be the iron gear wheel. So this is iron gear wheel recycler. Let's see, what do we want to call this? Because we want to have any like additional factory stuff, if they exist past this, we want to be grabbing on a different train loop, I think. So this will be iron gear wheel. Yeah, let's call that iron gear wheel recycler. And then this will be, we need to get the drone ports out this way as well. Because those are going to be like a universal thing, which we always need. And it's hard to tell exactly where this needs to get placed. We're going to have to wait for the foundation to make its way all the way over here for this drone port before we can start doing stuff on this one. So that's iron gear wheel recycler, and it inputs up that way. So let's take it. It's going to be taking like this train line down here. Okay, can I just copy paste? I made a relatively good T intersection, right? Can I just copy paste that and hopefully have it be close enough? Okay, it's not. It doesn't have the right spacing, which is annoying, but workable. So you go in like that, then that junction. You just need to get this train line connected up to that. All right, so that's all in, and oh, we need to get power over to here. So where's our legendary electric poles? Here they are. So we get one there, and one all the way over there, and then one on the land over there. So that should be good. And then we get all the rest of this built. So this is the input, this side up here is the output, which is a bit annoying just because of the way that it's all facing, but you need to connect back to that. Wait, right? Yeah, so that goes around and then loops up into the station. And we also need to get the last couple of those in, which should be fine. Okay, so that's connected up. And then we need this to... this is all kind of cursed, but we need you to, like, loop around this way somehow. Like, just in that little region down there. Which means we're going to need this to be a very, very sharp turn. If we want it to fit at all. And it certainly is not happy with that. Okay, so we're not going to do that then. We're just going to have you cross again and go up this way. And then into there. Oh, and we also need freaking storm protections for that stuff. So let's get the lightning collector in to cover all that, and then that should be fine. So now we can bring the drone port forwards onto this little island, and we're already kind of squeezing a lot of the space out of here. But that's just what we'll have to deal with. So we're also going to need to signal this ridiculous intersection crossing thing here. And we're going to need to cover even more of that island than previously. So that's all in. Now this is mostly getting built up. Okay, so for the signaling, we need a chain signal there, and a chain signal there, and hopefully that will just single-handedly be good enough to fix the problem. And now the drone coverage has all this stuff getting built. So let's get another drone port down there just to get more coverage, despite Tron apparently just been standing in the lightning this whole time. We don't want that. So that is all good. And so this is an input side for the gear wheels. And this is going to be like max 1 belt, so it doesn't need to be as hyper efficient as the other ones. Right, so this just, we flip all these guys around, and we're going to need to rotate the belts as well, and then the splitters, and then this will all be good to go. And flip the splitters around, and we've got our belt of gear wheels. Now, if we go over here, we see that the gear wheels are completely filled up. So this is going to need to be iron gear wheel scrap source. Let's call it that. And then we should also get some fun little labels on this. So we need to go to gear wheels, and that's what you're called. So now we go over here, and let's just get the fun little label on this guy as well. So we need to go right to the front of that, put in a gear wheel signal, and place it like that. Alright, so now we put a train in, and this train gets, which way is this supposed to face? It's supposed to face like that, and then get 1, 2, 3, 4 cars. And we apparently don't have enough train cars here on Fulgora, because why would we have those? So let's get Fulgora support. Yet another thing it's going to have to do is supply Fulgora with train cars. So let's run over here and make sure that you request locomotives and train cars, and you're going to want to request like 20 of them because we're going to need a lot. And Fulgora support, it has locomotives requested, and this is like 1 stack. Let's make it pull up 10 at a time just for convenience. And can we super easily get this? Yes. So we can make you have a whole lot more cargo room, which you seem like you're gonna need. So those extra cargo bays are on the way. That should give us a lot more space to work with and prevent any weird problems. So now we're just sort of stuck waiting for the trains to show up, because we need these 2 cargo wagons to finish this train before we can do anything. So I guess in the meantime, let's see. So all we have to do is we just run this belt along over to there, and we'd better connect the power grid up just so that that is in. And then all we need to do is get a side output. So you output priority right, and then you also have this stuff out to the left. So if this is all filled up and ready to go, then we're going to take the gear wheels over here and we're going to recycle loop them. And for now, that is just going to be a simple recycle loop for the purposes of destroying it. Just going to be something like this. And in the future, we might make this a quality upgrade loop. Okay, so then you need to be input priority left so that you don't get jammed. And you should be all clear from there. Okay, so this just takes them and does that. And something along these lines is just sort of going to be our generic setup for all of the various items that we put in. And we're just going to let this one get built up first. Oh yes, obviously we need power poles for the recyclers, which will not be relevant for a little while, but will eventually become important. So that is all in. And Fulgora support is on its way with the train cars to get this running again. And in the meantime, all the way over here is still working properly, and we've got 50 of those there and another 4 there, so that's all going well. How's our quality module supply looking right now? So we go up here, we've got 1 productivity module and 1 quality module. That seems strange. Does transport platform have a bunch of them? Yes, transport platform has 8 and 60 some. So that's all fine. So we're gonna need to make sure that Fulgora has like a steady supply of drones, because they're just gonna keep getting blown up like whenever anything interesting happens. Okay, the fusion generator is online. See that little orange spike there taking over. So the fusion generator is online, and we should not have power problems any longer. We see the dips are gone. And I assume that this is like running on super low power. Yeah, super low power. So that's all good. Do you have enough fluoroketone? Probably. There's even more getting delivered, so you'll definitely have enough by the time it's all cleared out. So yeah, power is no longer a problem, so that's good to see. And we just need Fulgora support to get here with those cargo wagons. And do we have space here for that? Not really. So we need to do this again. Just add a bit more space into our storage. And because of this, we're probably also going to need to set up the whole constant combinator based thing, so that this makes requests based on what's available in the drone storage, not what's physically present in the cargo landing pad itself. So let's get back to Novice, where we use that, and just copy paste that setup. So it's just like that. And we are going to pop you in to that. And so I believe you grab... Okay, wait. No, you're connected up to this power line, which we definitely don't want. So that's certainly wrong. Wait, no, you're not the one that's connected up to the power line. Oh, it's because of this. Yeah, so we need to clear that group out. So, this does everything minus itself. What are things connected up to? So the decider combinator is connected up to the landing pad. The arithmetic combinator is connected up to the drone port. Okay? So we just go over to here, arithmetic combinator, green wire to the drone port. And then you go to there. So this is... I don't understand how this works. But it's probably... Oh, is the drone port set up differently? The drone port is set up to read contents. This drone port is set up to read contents. Yes, that's good. So... What other connection am I missing? So this outputs a whole bunch of negative seeming values, whereas on Novice... So on Novice we have red signals. What's coming in on the red signal here? Oh, the constant combinator. Got it. So that's the requests. And then it subtracts what we already have from the requests. And then this filters out everything to be negative. Yeah, okay, I figured it out. So we just need to get this to add a section, and I'm just going to assign this a group. This is Fulgora requests. So that gets to be a group, and you get to have that group. And now you're set to set requests, and we clear that out, and now we should be all good and automated, and we should have the extra space in here. And it looks like our train got delivered. Yes, so this is going to be set to gear wheel. We're going to call this gear wheel scrap, just to indicate that this one is the one which takes it from the scrap production to the recycler. So we then put in gear wheel recycler, gear wheel scrap source, and you're going to go to here until empty cargo, and you're going to go to here until full cargo, and that is it, I think. Is there any need for anything else? No, I don't think so. So you can head off, and this should, in principle, get all of this stuff running again until we run out of space on another one of these train stops. So you're going to loop into here and pull all this stuff in. And the bulk inserters seem plenty quick. Although maybe even then they could be a little bit faster. It's hard to say. The gear wheels are like the main limiting factor. Alright, so that's just going through. And so now we have our supplies of all the other items. And is this draining it? Yeah, so this is draining the chests faster than they can be filled, although for some of them it's kind of close. But now the train leaves, and we might need stack inserters anyways for this. So now you're here, and these all just get sent across. Yeah, let's just make all of these guys stack inserters all the time, especially for the gear wheels, because that it just has the highest throughput. It probably won't be necessary for any of the others because low throughput, but for the gear wheels, it seems like it might be handy. Just get that train moving quickly. And I think we have plenty of stack inserters, at least for this, right? So we haven't suddenly started needing stack inserters by doing that. And now that train is fully emptied, and we're just sending it through to another train stop at the moment. So currently not really doing much of consequence, we're just shuffling things around. It's once the recycling starts that we'll actually get somewhere. So now this is filling up, and it is in drone port range. We do have these showing up. So this just fills super fast, and that should keep the gear wheel supply under control. Let's see if this... Let's stand here and look at it to see if this gets overfilled while the train is gone. And it looks like all those stack inserters are in now, which is good. So the train is gone, and this is now filling up. And how much space do we have? We have quite a lot of space, and it looks like it's more biased towards the first stack inserter now than it was, which is fine because it's just feeding into a train anyways. Doesn't really matter. So that's going. Some laser truss on Gleba are being damaged. That's suspicious. Where? Okay, now they're gone. Alright. We missed them. That's fine. Seems to have been a temporary problem. Probably some biter eggs hatched or something. Who knows? So this is going through. And will the train make it back in time? Where is the train? It's on its way back now, and we still have tons of room. So yeah, that is all good. So that should be dealing with all the gear wheels. And they are just taking their time looping across. And let's upgrade all of this stuff as well. Just make those all turbo belts, just for the sake of having faster belts. So that's all good. And it does look like this is mostly able to get the gear wheels out of the boxes in time, just from having them all be stack inserters in the first place. So now we just have to figure out what the next item to oversaturate is going to be. Because it's not going to be gear wheels anymore, because we are definitely getting rid of all those. And hopefully at some point we can even catch up to the point where this train has to wait there for a little bit. That would be pretty cool. Okay, we should... This whole area is like very long, which is not ideal. So let's get just like a buffer chest or two over here. We don't have buffer chests here on Fulgora. Okay, Fulgora support. Yet another thing for you to bring in. You get to bring in a stack of buffer chests. And Fulgora gets to request a stack of buffer chests, which is going to go into this. And you get to request 50 of them. Okay, so that is that. And this is definitely emptying out. So yeah, the gear wheels are all solid. And we're getting good numbers through here. Like, the gear wheels are obviously the fastest and somewhat limiting the others, but the others are also going pretty quick. And that's the scrap supply seems to be doing decently well for keeping this stable. At least I haven't seen it cut out since I've been looking at it recently. So that's pretty cool if we can keep that stable all the way through. That's another train headed out. And it's going to come down here. We still have thousands of scrap left in these boxes. Now this recycler stack is clearly overkill, largely because of the green circuit, or because of the gear bottleneck. So that's what we want to do next then, it probably, is figure out how to get the gears moving faster. So let's think. The problem here is that we're merging them all up into this one belt while they're not fully stacked. So we want to somehow make it so that all of the outputs of these recycler stacks are fully stacked. Now let's just yoink a copy of one of these just to have something to look at. So it's going to be something like this, right? And then we need that splitter in for it to make sense. Not that that's the side that's super important or anything, but you know. Okay, so how about we have our output belt. See, we have a good amount of space like between that and the sorter. So what I want to do is we do something like this, and if we have bulk inserters here and then stack inserters here, so we have something like this which does that. Oh, and the solid fuel has now capped us, so that's fun. So we're gonna have to fix that. For now, I want to work on this design. So if it's something like this, right? Now, what could happen is this could get stuck where the box fills with one type of item, but the stack inserters are trying to output a different type of item, and so the whole system gets jammed, which we definitely do not want. So, in order to fix that, option one is we could just like have... I guess we could just like have this... So if all these guys filter... No, that wouldn't work because they might miss things. So I was thinking if we have all these filter out a different item and just do the sorting here, then that would help. But first of all, it would be duplicating the work that we have over here, and second of all, it wouldn't work properly because if we ever got too many items past these bulk inserters that they slipped past, then the whole thing would jam, which would not be good. So we can't do the sorting here, but we need it to do something like this. So So I think we fix it with circuit network stuff. So if we feed you like this, then your... Okay, actually, does it need to... I'm trying to think how to do this, and let's just get power connected over here so we don't have to stare at the stupid blinking lights all the time. So it's gonna be powered up like that. So ideally we can get the logic to work just without any combinators. Just something like this, which would be like set filters maybe to... No, that wouldn't work. So what we need to do is like set filters to whatever this has the most of, and otherwise just let it do whatever. And the problem is that we would need like at least one combinator per machine. So like we need something like this to feed into all of this. So you would be, let's see. So you read the contents of that and then somehow figure out what the stack inserter needs to do. So you would be, for each greater than, what's the stack size of these guys? 16? Then output one of each. And then, okay, I think this would probably work, right? So we have that. We don't want those two to be directly connected. So this then passes through only the items which are greater than, I guess we can probably do greater than or equal to 16 and then set the filters. Now, the problem with that is that as soon as it drops below 16, so we pick the first item up and now there's only 15 in there, it'll drop the filter and stop working. So I think we need to do a latch here. So let's go for each greater than, let's say, 100. This shouldn't need to be a super strenuous latch. Then you output, wait, no. Does that work? I don't think it works with each. Yeah, see, this is the problem. This is the problem with this, is that I just can't think of how to do it best. It'd be real cool if it would work just naturally. It'd be real cool if it would just work naturally. Now, if we didn't do that and we just wanted to, if we didn't want to have like a perfect ideal system for this, what could we do? We could filter the gear wheels out separately in such a way that they don't all just get merged up. So we could have the stack size buff like in this sorter. So what we would do for that, let's just dismantle that so that we can use this as our testing ground again. So if we copy like U, let's say, right, so this is one row of the sorters. So we copy U and place U in. So what this does is it sorts out each item and then merges it up here with the items from the previous row and then sends all that forwards. Now, if I take that half of it and push you forwards by maybe just one spot. No, we're probably going to need two. So we're going to cut you, then we're going to have box, bulk inserter, stack inserter, and belt, and then this goes in like there. Right? So if we did it this way, then every individual item gets compressed down to fully stacked correctly. And then if we then were to copy this and just do the whole system like this, I forget how exactly this stacks, but that belt doesn't need to exist. So we would have these just in each of these spots. So like that would be what that looks like. And then we need more space to build this. So let's push you all the way over to there. And then put another one in here. And is this correct? Also, it seems like we cut off the first row here. So you would need that. And then those go in. And we don't have enough turbo splitters to do this experiment, but that's fine. So, does this still function properly? I think it does, right? So we have our concrete. It splits off into this, gets formed up into full stacks, and then sent along where it merges up with this one, and then gets formed up into full stacks, and etc. So, if we then copy this again, so first let's deconstruct the old one. So that all goes away. And I guess we can leave that last line of splitters in just so that we can see what we're doing. So that's all gone now. And it's all going to have to get dismantled, which is going to take a whole lot of effort. Our poor drones are working real hard here on the planet where drones die constantly if they try to do stuff. Okay, so that's all down, and we're still waiting for some of those to get dismantled so that I can see what we're doing with this space. Maybe the Spidertron can get in here and dismantle them manually. I didn't like accidentally cut off drone support or anything, right? No, we're all still good there. Alright, Spidertron is here, and it picks all that stuff up except for this one for some reason. Who knows why? It should be fine though. So we copy you, and now we need to get all of these guys lined up. So we've got 2 rows. Then we need another 2 rows there. And I think that would be it. So we need to cut some of those belts off. So we have this, and then the last row doesn't go underground, it just goes out, right? So if we then... So we're going to need these to line up. Actually, they kind of do a better job of it. So let's... Now that we have this whole giant block, we can cut it and line it up so that... I think if we line it up just like that, just barely to the side of where it was. So then that belt goes into there. And all that doesn't need to exist. This belt goes into there. And all that doesn't need to exist. And let's just take all this stuff out. And yeah, we do not have enough drones to do all this. But they'll show up eventually. Okay, so this is the 3rd one. And it goes up. No, not like that. That's too close. You need to just go over to here. And then up into that one. And then this one goes over to here and up into that one. And my poor drones just have all of this insane amount of work to do. You can have the Spidertron stand here to do some of it quickly. But Still going to take a lot of effort. So this all gets built up. And then the last rows go forwards like this. And just the second row of splitters is definitely not necessary. We definitely have an extra row of splitters in here, but that's fine. So this all just pushes forwards, and then it'll split again for no good reason, and then it will be good to go. And hopefully we won't have messed anything up and gotten them sorted wrong. So this is the solid fuel. It goes through here and onto this belt. Okay, yeah, no, we have gotten things sorted wrong, apparently. Stop. Everything stop. This is going to cause problems. This is going to cause all sorts of problems. Okay, so what's going on here? Why have we gotten the alignment wrong? We must have gotten these lined up wrong. We have that one, then that one, then that one, then that one. Were they designed to alternate in a different way than that? So let's... if we go all the way back here, and then yes, we can clearly see that some of these guys have a little bit of concrete in them, despite being the holmium destination. The gear wheels look fine. I think we caught everything else. It was just the concrete that had the problem. Yeah, everything else looks fine. So, these are all mixed belts now. I don't know why they're all mixed belts, but they certainly are. And actually, like, these are mostly unpowered, so I don't know how they're even getting through. I guess some of them are powered. Okay, so we have our holmium ore, and it goes here, and then merges up with this, and then its output goes down. What is it doing? Okay, yeah, so this is definitely just set up wrong. So this first flip here was correct, but then this one going back here is wrong. The holmium just disappears. Alright, so how does this need to line up instead? Let's take some of these belts back so that they aren't lined up wrong. And let's figure that out. So this here, so this output here needs to line up with that output up there. So previously I had this as like a perfect square, and I thought it was because they had alternated like this, but this setup doesn't alternate like that for some reason. So we have this going out to here and then looping in with that. So yeah, this line here is correct, and this line here is correct. It's this line here which is wrong. So we need to figure out what we did the previous time to get that to work. So this goes underground there, and then needs to merge up with this. I think it'll be easiest if we just... so if we just cut this half, like as of here, if we just cut all that out and move it up to like this, then I think that works correctly. And the Spidertron is doing most of the work, which is good, at least to start with. Is it having Roboport difficulties, or did all this stuff get assigned? I think all that stuff got assigned. Okay, so the holmium goes there and merges up to here, where it goes across. And then it goes there, which is still holmium. Okay, so I think this fixes the problem, and we just need to remove everything from these belts down here, which seem to be the only places where the problem happened, it looks like. At least just on a quick inspection. And let's just clear all that out and then run some belts here so that we can see where that happened, if anywhere. Alright, so we're going to need all those to get placed in. So the other thing we're going to need to do is get all these boxes powered up. And like that. And we can actually just click and drag for this. And that should get all those power poles in, which is probably going to run a tiny bit more of the improperly sorted stuff through this, which it should be fine. Okay, so that is all good now, and it's just this one line of gear wheels and solid fuel here that's still getting mixed improperly. So we just run that out a little bit more, then push it back, then run it out a little bit more, and push it back. Okay. So now I believe everything is all sorted out properly and should be good to go. Hopefully. If not, then we'll have to go and fix things in the train stops, but for now, this is what we're doing. So the gear wheels need to be extra speedy. The rest of them don't. So that's just solid fuel. Then all of these connections go forwards. And that one goes into there, and that one goes into there, and I think that's everything. Okay, so, wait, no, there's still a little bit of improper gear wheel stuff in that one. So that should all be built up, and those gear wheels are going forwards on the gear wheel belt. Okay, so now we just need to connect these guys back up to their sorters like that. And that should be all good to go, unless I have missed something again. So we'll have to see what happens once these belts get placed in. And did these buffer chests ever get built? Yes, they did. So let's assign you to like 200 blue belts, like 200 green belts, some bulk inserters, some stack inserters, some splitters of each type, and some underground belts of each type, and some power poles. And that's basically everything that we use, right, in normal building. I guess we can add steel chests onto that list. So this should move them, and this is obviously much closer than all the way over there. We're not going to have to cross the giant ocean to get set up. Alright, so now this is all running again, and we'll get to see if we've managed to put everything back into the right boxes or not, and then the solid fuel will get stuck again, and we'll have to redo that. Although the fact that we have this box here means we can keep continuing to run the solid fuel for a little bit at least. Although it looks like we've introduced a new... Yeah, so these bulk inserters aren't picking up the gear wheels fast enough, that's for sure. Now, we can make it a little bit faster by making them stack inserters. But I was hoping that one inserter each would be enough, and it very clearly is not. So let's try making these stack inserters and see what happens. So that goes, and then they're going to just take the stack inserters from there to bring them over to here to get all this built up. And here we go. Because we really just need this to all keep up. Alright, so that's better, right? So this looks like it's mostly flowing through, but it isn't quite. Yeah, dang it, this sucks. Alright, so we're gonna have to somehow make it so that this can have multiple stack inserters filling these throughput boxes, and also this concrete one just straight up isn't working for some reason. What happened to... Oh, okay, this belt just didn't get built. So we need that to connect across. Don't know how I missed that. So that will go, and then we're going to need to tweak this design again to deal with that. But first, let's get the solid fuel there set up real quick. So it's just going to be... I mean, can we just copy-paste all of that and then just plop it down, like, here somewhere? And... Alright, you can't flip them because they have train stops in them. But you can just rotate them a bunch. So that goes in. And we're losing some stuff. We're losing some drones, as usual, to not being very smart about how they fly. And we're losing a bunch of them now. It's an absolute massacre of drones here for some reason. Because they just don't want to survive. That's all there is to it. They just would rather not be alive. How many? We have 39 logistics drones being requested. We have 460 logistics robots, and I guess this is for the ones which are... Okay, they're doing something over here with the rockets, and I guess they're all flying over to help with that, and they're getting zapped in the process. Whoops. Okay, so this is our buffer chest, and it's not quite full. Do we have enough of these things being requested? Like the underground belts. Do we just have... We don't have just regular underground belts requested somehow. So let's get like 100 of those requested. Because that's something which we're apparently low on. And then we're probably going to want to upgrade the numbers of these to some other things as well. But that should be fine for now. Okay, so what were we doing? We need to get the Spidertron down to... Oh gosh, where did we even build that? Was it like this island down here or something? I know we had... No, it's this one over here. Okay, cool. So you go into this, and you're going to get all this stuff built up. And then you're going to run around, get all the lightning collectors built, most importantly. Alright, so the lightning collectors are all in. A whole bunch of other stuff has also been built. Obviously not everything. So now we need to connect the drones up and the power poles. So let's go legendary big electrical poles. And that is going to just go up this way somewhere. Actually, no. To the left would be much, much faster. So you go up that way, and now you're just on dry land again, so we can just connect that up with small power poles. Okay, so that has been built. All that stuff is getting queued. Okay, so we need... No, not there. We need just enough power poles out here to get that one. And then we also need a lightning collector out there. And a lightning collector out there. And there. So that's all set up. And I don't know how we are missing construction bots. I guess down there is where they're being missed. Okay, so then we just need to bring drone ports along to those spots. Get them built. And I really need to remember to actually build them next to the power lines. Otherwise, none of it works properly. Okay, so that's all in, and this big electrical pole took some damage, but it's probably fine. Okay, so now all of this should be connected up, right? So you have access to the power grid. I don't know why... Where are the 3 item missing construction drones? Do we just have to get you in there? Okay, I don't know what happened with that, but it seems to have gotten sorted out eventually anyways. So that's all good. And now all of this stuff is getting built. So we need you to be... You need to be changed to just solid fuel recycler. Solid fuel recycler. Reset you up like that. Okay, so now all of this stuff is still getting built, and we don't have the turbo belts for it. We don't have the turbo belts for it, so let's head over here, and we do have 180 something of those being requested, so that's fine. And we have 20 trillion drones charging up right here, which is a little bit weird. Okay, so now we need to get this connected up to that. So this is... That's the station, so this is the input line down that way. So I'm going to turn that a little bit. And you are going to go and connect over that way. So you are going to need to attach in to this, and this is another spot where these are backwards for some reason. So you are going to need to loop across and then go a little bit further like that, and then loop up to that. Meanwhile, you just connect up to that. So now we have the Spidertron run around, do all that placement. So that goes in, then we go up here and we get all this stuff built. Okay, so now that's all built. We need a chain signal going into some of those spots, and then we're going to need some rail signals just sort of elsewhere along that path. Just something like that, I don't know. Okay, actually that one's probably too close. So we just have something like that set up, and we then run the Spidertron around to get them all placed. And now we should be in the clear. So we are just missing some of the turbo belts to get all this done. But you are a solid fuel recycler. So now we go up here to the solid fuel area, and you are going to be solid fuel scrap source. Solid fuel scrap source. Alright, and then we have a train get built. And it can get built down here where it won't be in the way of anything else. 1, 2, 3, 4. And how is this? How do we not have trains? I could have sworn we had just gotten some more trains delivered. Is this... Oh, this drone port never got attached up. That's what happened. So we need that drone port to be powered so that this whole chain can connect and we can get all this stuff delivered down here. But then this train, which we can't edit until we have it built, but then that train will start doing the solid fuel. And it looks like we are very, very close on the ice cubes as well. So let's just copy paste all of this again and just plop it on some other small island somewhere. Like, how about this one? Okay, so we need to make sure that everything gets overwritten to build that. And then, okay, wait, actually, Spidertron, you're going to have to start moving piece by piece to get down there. So we're going to need our legendary electrical poles, and I guess we're going to need a chain of regular electrical poles to get down to there. Then we get legendary big electrical poles, and those are going to go out this way. And they are going to all be sitting next to a drone port and a lightning collector. And let's just not blueprint, just copy. Oh, does holding shift with copy do blueprints? Who knew? Okay, so that then just goes down, and we're just going to build these every so often until we get down to that spot, which is going to be a bit more drone ports than we need, but we'll be fine. So that goes down to there. And are you like out of foundations or something? Yes, we are out of foundations for this. So Spidertron, get back to somewhere safe to stand. And are we getting foundations delivered? No. Do we have some problem with the foundation production? Oh, did you not? No, they did get into the requests. So where are they? We've got 47 in that storage. We've got a couple hundred up there. Is it just that, oh, you're just too far and not connected properly? So we need a drone port up there and a lightning collector. So that all goes in, and now we get to start losing random junk to lightning. Hooray. Including apparently my Spidertron. So you are just going to stand up there. You just stand somewhere within drone range, right? And then at some point we need to just like bite the bullet and spend a whole bunch of foundations just spamming lightning collectors in all these various places so that this stops being a problem. Because like the number of drones we lose to that is ridiculous, especially considering they're probably carrying some expensive stuff. Like we might be losing legendary electrical poles for all we know. Okay, so now all the rest of this stuff is getting built out. And the Spidertron is gradually getting restocked. Can we just clear out some of these gear wheels and holmium ore and iron ore and stuff? We do not need to be carrying all of those. Let's just get some free inventory slots instead. There we go. So the restock is happening. We're up to 39 foundations once more. And I'm just going to stand there while that happens. Curse of being very far from the most convenient logistic spots. And these guys are probably all... No, a lot of them are carrying copper wire for some reason. They must be like taking the excess back or something. Okay, so the Spidertron is basically filled up at this point. So let's run down here and see if we can get these guys built up again. And all these drone ports trying to get the copper wire out of here are very much just getting lost. Okay, so that gets built. Then we just need a couple more of those. And then we can make it to land. So that one should basically be the last one. And now we're here. So now we can start doing all of this construction. And it will get that built up. And now this whole thing should be attached in theory. Once that one is charged up enough to register it. Yes, so now that's all attached. Okay, let's just have the Spidertron run around placing some of these guys just every so often. Get those placed in. Just to try to keep us safe during all of this lightning storm stuff. Alright, where even did the Spidertron go? Why is that placement not doing anything? Alright, so you're in. Then we get one up here. And then we get another one up there. And just lightning collectors are relatively manageable. It's hard to tell, like, from various views where all the coverage is. Okay, so that goes out to there. And I really, really wish we could tell them to not try to take these shortcuts, but they're taking them anyways. Let's do another mining productivity research while we're at it. And then just keep on getting lightning collectors in sort of this general vicinity. And the Spidertron is currently out of foundations, so you're going to have to run back and get restocked again. So fortunately it's daytime when all of this gets built, so there's no storm. Unfortunately, it's gonna take a while, and there's a whole lot of just stuff that needs to get dismantled. Okay, let's set that up to like 150 or something, just so that the Spidertron could carry more of it at once. And the construction robots are very busy. We have logistics robots available, so I don't know what exactly is taking them so long, and we're losing them again. They really, really need to stop doing this. just like calm down and just take the safe paths, you know? You don't have to fly through the wilderness every time. And yet here we are. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to have... So we have these requests in, right? And that should keep us satisfied. Now, what I need to do is get a decider combinator here. Actually, do we even need one? So we are going to read from that, and actually, wait, no, we don't want to read from that one because it's already doing stuff. We need another drone port. Where's our other nearest drone port? It's all the way down here. Okay, so I'm going to read from you, and you are going to read, and total logistics bots and total construction bots are Y and T. So let's swap those over to the more sensible values of, where are they? Just the symbols themselves. So this is logistics bots. This one is construction bots. So that is going to show those, and it's showing them wrong for some reason. Okay, let's set these back to Y and T just to see if that fixes it. Because I think it was probably just getting overlapped with the logistics bots in this machine or something. So yeah, let's do that. Then this decider combinator, we're actually, I guess, going to need two of these. So if Y is less than 500, and don't you want this game to have a first-person POV by now? Absolutely not. This is Factorio. Having a first-person POV in Factorio would not make any sense at all. Like, that would just be terrible. So you would then output logistics bots of 50 probably. And then we paste those settings down to this one, except we swap that to T and construction bots. So that we get connected. So that needs to get connected about. And then those two go down. And now we just need to get this requester chest in. And that requester chest, I've managed to put it in one spot which doesn't have power currently. And yeah, that's still happening. That's always just going to continue happening. And so then this will be set requests. So that should continue to feed bots into the network as long as we have at least... So that should set us up to have 500 logistics bots and 1,000 construction bots. know what's happening and not. Yeah, I mean, it can be overwhelming at first, but once you get the hang of it, it all kind of just makes sense. I would say it's not especially difficult to tell what's going on in this game. Okay, so that's all built up. And now it says we are missing materials for construction down here on power poles. Is that just because the RoboPort stuff isn't set up correctly, or is something weird going on? I think something weird is going on. Okay. Let's get the Spidertron back out here into the ocean to get more of these lightning collectors going so that we can lose fewer bots. That'll be a handy thing to have. We should have the supplies to start doing that again. So let's get all of those guys placed. And we just sort of need to keep this chain of lightning collectors going on up to this row. So something like that. And then that all goes in. And so that is all built. Now, let's go up here and start focus on getting that passageway cleared out. So it looks like we might need this to go a little bit further north to get that completely safe. And okay, so that is like one of the big angles that these guys keep trying to go through. So now that's all clear. And hopefully that will have us mostly sorted out. Okay, so now it's just a question of what is going on with the medium power poles. Do we have those requested? No, we somehow managed to have not gotten those requested at any point. So let's toss that request in, and something directly above us just happens to have 18 of those that can drop down. And then Fulgora support is carrying them permanently, so we don't need to worry about that. Okay, so we go all the way down to this island. That is set up. And okay, is this not... Yeah, so we just need to get that last little bit of connection across for the power. Then the rest of this is all getting built. Fulgora support will be in with more power poles in a minute. So that is labeled as solid fuel recycler. And I believe I haven't... No, I have labeled that one as solid fuel scrap source. So now I just need to give it the train. So you get a train, and you get 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. And then those will get built up. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to need after that is going to be ice cubes. Hang on, wait a minute. Isn't this solid fuel? Okay, yes. No, I built this one to be the ice cubes. Right. But I just got distracted halfway through, as often happens. So you are ice recycler. So that's what you are. And then, okay, so now we have a second train doing that, which is probably mostly fine, but it's not ideal, I don't think. So yeah, I think we just wanted to dismantle you a little bit. Although, so this is the actual solid fuel one. And why are you just sitting here? Oh, because I never set you up. Okay, so you get to be at station, and you are going to be solid fuel scrap. Solid fuel scrap. And then you get a solid fuel scrap source, solid fuel recycler. So you go there until empty, you go there until full, and that should be everything. Okay, now let's see. We're still losing drones in this area. So let's get some lightning collectors in there. And also down here, apparently. And gosh, these guys really love their shortcuts through dangerous space. Okay, so we are going to put one down there. And we're going to put one in there. And just like anytime we see an X, just put down some lightning collectors. Okay, we're going to need some down there, which I can't do just yet. Okay, so now we just get the Spidertron to go around and actually build these. And then up to here as well to get that one in. And now, how is this stuff going? Alright, that all looks a lot better. And we might also want to just have some drone ports along here so that they don't get stuck moving super slow along that whole giant trip. Okay, so the solid fuel recycler is we're still dismantling the other one. So that will take a bit and probably use a bunch of storage space. So let's add another row of those in. Why do we keep not having construction bots? Are all of those guys, is that what they're all doing? Okay, let's get that area up north covered since we clearly have a lot of drones doing that. And then we have to get the Spidertron up there to actually build them. So yeah, unfortunately draining out a whole giant wagon filled with solid fuel is gonna take a lot of effort. So that is going to be happening for a little bit. Good news is our lightning protection is way better than it has been for a long time. It's not perfect though. We're still losing a whole bunch down along this path. It seems like every time I put lightning collectors in, the drones just like move around to find another route that isn't covered properly. So that all gets built, and then we can get these ones in. And is the Spidertron out of lightning collectors? Yes, it is. Okay, so Spidertron can return back to the base for now and just get resupplied. So you can stand there. We have apparently none in logistics storage. Why not? Where do we produce these? We produce them here. We don't have any lightning rods. And our lightning rod supply is down here. We don't have any stone bricks. The reason we don't have any stone bricks is because this line here is doing something silly. Okay, I see what happened. Can we just get like a... Can we just get like a requester chest on that then? Okay, so that should get lightning rod supply up and running again. So this was filled and then stopped being filled, and that is what caused the problem, basically. So hopefully having this box here will help a little bit. so now we can just requester chest in the stone bricks into that. And where are they? They're somewhere in... Oh, wait, no. They're in this category for dumb reasons, mostly. Okay. So that is going to get the lightning collector supply up and running again. And then... Did this ever get done? It's almost there. Just a couple hundred more. And we actually have construction bots sitting and waiting. What is this? Who built it this way? I mean, obviously it was me, but why did I do that? These are supposed to be cargo wagons, not engines, obviously. Can't believe I did that. I must have not been paying attention in the slightest. Okay, so we have that. Now we need to bring the train network down to there, which is going to be just branching off of this, I guess. And let's get the Spidertron over. Let's get the Spidertron over to get this build done. And it's going to have a bit of a journey to take. And we just need it here because it's the only one that can build these railway type stuff, because it's all out of drone range most of the time. Alright, Spidertron is almost all the way over. Here we are. Okay, so then this also just branches off and keeps on going down. So now all that stuff gets built, and now we can just take these two rows down a bunch, and then down a little bit more, and you can actually just go diagonal like that, and then over that way, and then we'll figure out from there. And then we have this one, which takes the same general path. Something like that-ish. And hopefully we have enough supplies to build all this. So let's get building. And we're going to have to put a bunch of stuff like signals and such on this, which shouldn't be a huge issue. Is that... Okay, so those ones are being built by just coincidentally existing drone connections. So that's all fine. Everything here is going in. And now we just need to connect these up. So if I recall, this is right side drive. So this goes that way. Yeah, so once again, we're stuck with these ones having to do the annoying rotate around which side they go in. And then that one connects all the way down to here. And then the Spidertron goes and builds those chunks of it. Alright, so now we get our signals. So you get a signal in there. You get a signal in there. And that will be a start. Then we need to get just sort of rail signals every so often on these. And is there like a disconnect here somehow? It seems like there must be. No, it's fine. So now these are correctly showing the one-way tracks that they are. So those signals all go in. Let's just get a couple more along this path, because it's generally good to have signals on long paths like this, especially because it is extremely likely that multiple trains will be doing this in the future. So that, we'll call that good for now. And then the Spidertron can run down to there. And where did we lose you? We lost you sort of in that general area. Which I guess we can get the Spidertron to go out and help a little bit. They're taking these absolutely insane unhinged paths. Which... So now you're out here. We can just fill in that sort of path. So if you want to do that direction for whatever reason, now you can. Congratulations. Alright, so now this ice setup here. So you're the ice recycler, and then up here we already have the ice train in. So we need to label this as ice... Where are you? Ice scrap source. So that is in. And now we get you onto the ice. So you are ice scrap. So you do that, and then you are just ice scrap source, ice recycler. You're at there until empty. You're here until full. And automatic. Why can you not get there? Oh, did we miss like one pivotal track? Yes, we did. We missed literally one track on the entire thing. Of course we did. Okay, how... Was a biter eating a rail back on Novice or something? Must have been. Weird. But this all goes in. Spidertron goes up there, and now you should be able to find your way down. Let's get the Spidertron back into cover. Okay, so you still haven't figured it out, but it should be easy, right? You just go down here, down this path, and... Okay, no, we are waiting on that for some reason. And we're continuing to lose drones to silly reasons. So we can get a lightning collector out there, and eventually we'll have a lightning collector constructed to go in that spot, and that'll be handy. Until then, we just need this random track to get filled in. I don't know if the Spidertron will be able to help with that or not. Hopefully he will. Hopefully we don't have to dismantle these giant ruins. It doesn't look like we do. Okay, so you go down, and let's just dismantle that. Replace it. So now that does, for some reason, have to get rid of the giant ruins. And now that is still not getting built in by the Spidertron. You have plenty of resources to build that, so do it. There we go. Got there eventually. Now, surely, yes. Now the train is happy to bring its ice cargo down to here. Okay, so it looks like now the outputs to this are only one side of the belt too, but they are fully stacked, so that's probably fine. It looks like they are keeping up, right? So we don't have like massive backlogs of anything in here. So then the next one will be stone, and then we'll just have to keep on going. Alright, so the recycling comes in, brings us some scrap. Very cool. Let's check back at the gear wheel, since that was the first one. And they've gotten jammed. Okay. That's not good. So, step 1 is speed module all those guys. And then step 2 is to copy paste and just add another giant chunk of them. And hopefully that will work. So we just need this to loop properly and get rid of all the gear wheels. And let's check. So the solid fuel side of things is working for now. Let's get speed modules in just to make sure that that continues to be the case and it doesn't get overwhelmed. And then we will also do the same thing down here for ice. So that's a whole bunch of speed modules, but we should have plenty. And that lightning collector hasn't been produced in a while. So you're still short on stone, and this is slowly cooking away. Okay, let's make that guy faster so that we can get more stone out of you. So that will be 3 times as much stone per second. So now is the problem something else? The problem is supercapacitors. Why are we low on supercapacitors? You're low on superconductors. Despite the fact that we have a billion. Oh, it's because they're all going into this box here. That should stop being an issue, theoretically, if this box fills up. And then it should just work out. We might need to, like, somehow make sure that some items get through to there, but regardless, it should happen eventually. We have everything else. So it should happen eventually, unless it's possible that the demand is just, like, barely frequent enough from the rocket silos to prevent this from getting through, but that shouldn't be the case. So, yeah, let's just assume that that's fine. So did this get sorted out? No, this is still not working properly. And so these front couple are target full. Oh, I see. We need to use both sides of the belt here. And that should do the trick. Hopefully. Obviously, we're going to be recycling a whole lot of iron plates here instead of gear wheels. But all of these guys working together should be able to do it. And we might need to have multiple full belts worth of drain on this. So we might need to expand this up even more. So we have this row here, and if we want to do even more, what we need to do is, let's see, if we just copy you, flip vertically, and just place you in like that, and then get rid of that one for now. So we have an underground belt. Okay, but this is all still not using the full belt, so adding these guys in will be useful. So that is that, but then we need the outputs here to, like, okay, I think what we do is we have these outputs just like go down here to another row of recyclers, just so that we don't have to deal with them in the previous row. So we just have this, and then that merges back in with input priority right, and that will deal with all the excess there. And then maybe we can even do the same thing to just take this belt down. So that goes down to there and combines up. Then we're going to want everything in there that wasn't already upgraded. We want that to become upgraded. Okay, so now this is going to deal with the iron plates, while these guys deal with the direct gear wheels. Hopefully that'll work. And let's see. So now this whole thing is being limited by the speed of these guys, who should be getting speed modules in any second now. And we can also preemptively put some of those in. And that we then need to run those power poles across that way. Okay, so now this is turning along a lot better. We're still draining at a somewhat limited rate, but it's better than it was. Yeah, just getting rid of all these stupid gear wheels is so insanely difficult. You need to just deal with so many of them. So that's looping around properly. It's getting reasonably well through all of these. And we could use, obviously, a couple more of these speed modules on this row. And then we could also use this just being a bit bigger. So if we just add in a couple more, that's how many will fit. And does Fulgora request speed modules automatically? We go all the way over here. Pull this up. Yes, it does. So that should be fine. And, okay, it looks like they did just show up. So that should be all dealt with. And this is still very much could be outputting faster. Now, on the input side of things, it looks like the stone has blocked us, so we're just going to need to keep upgrading all of these until eventually we've got these recycler setups for every single item, and then we can start doing fancy stuff with them once we know that we don't have to worry about different things blocking us. Although actually, it's not even that stone is blocking us yet, because we still have a little bit of space before that happens. What's happening is our scrap input is intermittent, which is probably just a train loading question. So like that train is loaded, and I think we're going to need to just get more trains doing the scrap route, because I mean, the instant the train leaves, this is already fully saturated. That's obviously wasting like 90% of the time on the scrap train setup. So we're gonna need to do that. We're gonna need to upgrade all of these to have their individual train setups. But that, I think, will be a job for next time. So we're getting this all set up. We're making progress, and we are also making progress on making this whole drone system safer and less prone to random drone explosion from lightning. But it's all working, so that is good. Back on Novice, things look normal. I believe we had a problem with this last time. No longer. Low density structures are fixed. Over on Aquilo, we have a decent enough supply of foundations coming out. And how's our fusion fuel, actually? That's something I should check, because it's been a while, and we've added a couple onto it, but it seems like it's got everything just fine to make plenty of fusion fuel, so that's no concern. So yeah, everything is going well. I think we're going to wrap up here for the day. So thanks everyone for hanging out. Had a lot of fun as usual. So we'll be back on Monday, where we're just going to continue cranking out these recycling setups, and then probably occasionally upgrading these existing ones, which are kind of small for these. But that's about it. So yeah, I will see you guys next time. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time. I do Factorio on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I do Satisfactory on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure to follow if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!